What's up, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another video, and today we're just going to be talking about some of the games that I've been playing on the Nintendo Switch recently. I've got a list of about 4 games that I've kind of been playing off and on, and just kind of want to talk about them, share my experiences with them with you, and maybe hopefully you guys will enjoy, playing these games if you do decide to pick them up, which I highly recommend that you do, because all of them are very fun and not really all that expensive either, so that's great. If you're on a budget, definitely check them out. I would definitely recommend them. Before we do that, also, I'm sure you guys have noticed we do in fact have a new camera right now. I'm using the Logitech C922 webcam. I think that's the official name for it. I picked this up recently because in the last video I had to use my laptop webcam and it just looked awful. So I just decided to kind of splurge and go ahead and get an actual legit webcam, and I think it looks really cool. I really enjoy it so far. I am still trying to kind of figure out the best settings to use for it, so I apologize if I just look kind of weird, with the colors and the brightness or whatever else. I don't entirely know. I've never really had a legit webcam like this before. I've always just kind of use whatever camera was around, and it always seemed to get the job done. But hopefully I will kind of continue to kind of tweak the settings a little bit and make sure it looks really good, so hopefully it does. So yeah, anyway, I wanted to mention that as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into the discussion of the games for today. So as I said, I have a list of 4 of them here, and the first one is actually a physical copy, which is very cool. I love collecting physical games and buying physical games. I just like to have that tangible object, that I can, put in the Switch and play and whatnot. So I actually got this when I went to Best Buy to get my camera. Actually, I saw it on the shelf and I was like, you know what, I've seen gameplay of this before, and so I decided to kind of take a chance on it. And that game is Origami Shadow Edition for the Nintendo Switch. So this is a really cool game, really awesome action stealth game. So if you guys have ever played games like Splinter Cell or Tenchu, that's basically what this game is, and it's awesome. I think it's very cool. So you play as this character Origami, and you're on this mission to save, I think it's the Empress, I believe, of a certain village, and you have to go through these certain areas, and you can either take out all the guards in the specific area in order to move on, or you can just kind of sneak past them. It really gives you the opportunity to play these levels the way that you want to play them, which is always really cool, especially in a stealth game as well. The graphics look really cool, just the art style, it looks really clean, really slick, ton of fun. The gameplay is super fun as well, so you go through these different areas, you can hide in the shadow, you can sneak up on guards, you can take them out silently. And this game is strictly stealth based, so I know like in games like Splinter Cell, if you get spotted, you can essentially kind of try to to make your way out of that really scary or hairy situation. But in this, if you get attacked one time, you're dead, and you have to restart from the checkpoint. So there's no kind of going in guns blazing. You have to kind of go through all of these levels as stealthy as possible. Stealthily? Can't really remember which is correct, but anyway, you get the idea. And what's also really cool is that you can actually buy and purchase some upgrades that you can make your Origami character even stronger. So there's some where you can make bodies disappear after a while after you kill them. So that way, the patrolling guards that are around, they won't spot, they won't notice a dead body because there isn't one there, which is extremely helpful, especially if you're trying to be as quiet as possible, which is very important for this game. So I'm still playing through it. I haven't quite finished it as of yet, but it's definitely a lot of fun, a lot of upgrades that you can equip, some really cool, interesting areas. The enemies are kind of the same all the time. There hasn't really been any variation with that as of yet, so I don't know if that will be coming in later levels or whatnot. And that's really kind of my only gripe with the game so far, because there are a lot of different aspects to this game that make each level kind of different in some way or another. So it's very cool. So I definitely recommend Origami for the Nintendo Switch. You can get it physical if you want to, and like I said, that's what I always tend to do. So I definitely recommend checking out Origami for the Nintendo Switch. Alright, so next is a game that has kind of taken the eShop by storm, if I'm being completely honest, and I think a lot of people are really enjoying this game, and for good reason, because it's fantastic, and that game is Katana Zero. Now, this was unveiled, I believe, in an indie presentation I couldn't even tell you when, but it was fairly recent, I believe. But it's a very, very fun game. It actually reminds me a little bit of Dead Cells in terms of the combat and just sort of the way that the levels are kind of laid out, and different things like that. So you get in and you play as this samurai. And what you do is you go through these different levels, taking out all the guards in all these different areas as fast, well, not really as fast, but as clean as you possibly can. Because if you get hit one time, you are dead. You have to restart that room from the very beginning. So kind of similar to Origami in that effect, where if you just get hit once, you die, but you can always restart at that checkpoint. I've also heard this game kind of be compared to, a little bit anyway, to Celeste, where you basically, you know, if you die or whatever, you just start at the beginning of the room that you're currently in, which is very nice. So anytime that you die, you know, you don't really have to go through this long and grueling process to kind of get back to where you were. It's really instantaneous, which is very cool. Makes those deaths that you will in fact experience, because this game is pretty challenging, not so bad. So what's very cool about this game is the combat is so fast-paced, but what's interesting about the fast-paced nature of the combat is that you can actually slow down time in order to reflect bullets back at enemies, which is just the coolest thing ever. It makes you feel like such a badass, so fun, so cool. And you can also roll so that, you know, if enemies are trying to shoot you, you can do a little bit of a roll and you can essentially dodge those bullets, and you can actually roll past that enemy and then attack them from behind. It's so cool. The music is fantastic. A lot of cool, like, electronic, kind of techno, I guess, kind of music here. Very cool. I actually went and bought the soundtrack on iTunes because I just loved it so much and I wanted to listen to it whenever I could. And it's just so great. It's just a really great game with a very compelling story as well. Very interesting story here with a lot of really unique and colorful characters. The writing in this is crazy. There's also some very heavy themes being explored in this game as well. So it's definitely not for somebody, you know, for the faint of heart, or definitely not for a kid. Definitely not either. But if you want kind of that really compelling story with a really fast-paced, awesome, and slick action combat, you cannot go wrong with Katana Zero. It's fantastic. I definitely recommend it. I think it's only about 15 bucks on the eShop, so definitely check it out if you haven't done so, especially if you love these action-adventure games with some really cool combat. So yeah, Katana Zero, definitely check it out. So this next game here is one that I kind of took a chance on. I saw it in the eShop and I saw it was coming out, and I kind of really enjoyed the art style and I thought it looked cool. And just from kind of reading the brief description, I had a feeling I was really going to enjoy this one, and I in fact did. And that game is Agelos. I think that's how you pronounce it. If I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure it's called Agelos. And this game is very cool. It's a lot like the Wonder Boy games, as well as Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, which I actually did an unboxing for on the channel, so check that out if you haven't already done so. But it's a very cool game. It's a 2D action-adventure, Metroidvania-like platformer with some really cool enemies, environments, really unique boss battles, some really cool upgrades that you can get as well. And being a Metroidvania, once you kind of acquire some of these other upgrades and equipment, you can go back to other places that you had previously visited and access some areas that you couldn't have accessed before, allowing you to explore even further. So if you love action-adventure games, you know, 2D platformers, even Metroidvania type games, you will definitely enjoy Agelos. It doesn't really do anything different, but if you love that specific formula, you're definitely going to have a good time with this game. I'm having a ton of fun with it. There's so many different areas that you can go to, really cool pieces of equipment and really cool upgrades that you can use as well. The dungeon areas are really cool as well. Some interesting level designs that are going on within those dungeons as well. The boss battles are very cool as well. Some of them looked really awesome. Just kind of the pixel art style looks really cool. So, like I said, if you enjoy those kind of games, those 2D action-adventure games with the Metroidvania-like elements, or even if you are a huge fan of the Wonder Boy games or Monster Boy, definitely check this one out. It's a lot of fun, and I think you will really enjoy it. So yeah, that is Agelos. Alright, so this final game on the list is definitely one that is I guess bare bones, but I don't really mean that in a bad way. It's still a very well put together and well made game that you will definitely have fun with, especially if you like those kind of games. And I'm talking about Venture Kid. And this recently came out on the eShop, and if you love Mega Man, you will love this game. It's pretty much, I don't really like to say, you know, a game is a clone of something, but Venture Kid is definitely a Mega Man type clone. And that was actually one of the reasons why I wanted to play it, because I really enjoy the Mega Man games. And if you guys do the same, you will definitely enjoy Venture Kid. There's this evil doctor who wants to take over the world, and Venture Kid has to stop him with some very interesting weapons and kind of techniques and whatnot. Like I said, very Mega Man type gameplay here, where you jump and you shoot, different enemies that you have to take out, some interesting platforming. Can get a little challenging after a while. I remember kind of the last 2 levels really gave me a tough time in this game, but not so tough that I didn't feel like it was impossible. So it definitely has a challenge to it, but it's not so easy, you know, that I think people are going to be put off by it. And even if it is a little bit too challenging, you can in fact lower the difficulty, which could be helpful for some of you out there if you are maybe worried about something like that. But I think this is a really good way to get into the Mega Man series if for whatever reason you don't have you know, the Mega Man Legacy Collection or the Mega Man X Legacy Collection. If you just for whatever reason haven't picked those up, or you want something kind of cheaper to kind of get you acclimated to the whole Mega Man style game, Venture Kid is definitely a really good option. And like I said, just because it doesn't really do anything different, just because it's kind of a clone of something, doesn't make it a bad game. Still a lot of fun to be had here. Some really interesting environments here. You've got, you know, a forest. You've got kind of this like metropolis kind of area, which looks pretty cool. You've got an Egyptian area that looks like anyway. And then the final level, which is really cool. I'll just say it's out of this world, if you can kind of guess what that is. But yeah, Venture Kid is a lot of fun. It's a very simple 2D Mega Man type game. Not terribly long. I think I beat it in maybe about 2 hours or so. But it's also fairly cheap as well. So I definitely recommend Venture Kid, especially if you love Mega Man and you're kind of looking for a game to kind of itch or scratch that Mega Man itch. I definitely recommend Venture Kid. It's a lot of fun. Alright folks, and that'll do it for this list of games I've currently been playing. I definitely recommend all of them. If I had to pick a favorite out of this list, I do think I would have to go with Katana Zero. It's just such a fun game. The story is really compelling, like I said. A lot of different sort of heavy themes that are being discussed in that game. And just the gameplay itself is just super fun, super fast-paced. When I played it, I could hardly put it down. I just wanted to keep going and keep going. And anytime that I would die, I just wanted to keep going and get past that specific level. And then once I did, I didn't want to stop. So Katana Zero is definitely, I think, the highlight of this list. Like I said, I recommend all of these games. And Origami is very fun as well. I'm still playing through this game. Also one that's kind of hard to put down as well. But overall, I think Katana Zero is perhaps the most well-made game of this list. But like I said, Origami, fantastic. Katana Zero, amazing. Agelos, very fun as well, especially if you love those 2D platforming games. And then Venture Kid is also really cool too, especially if you love Mega Man type games or, you know, other 2D platformers, essentially. So yeah, that's my list there. Hopefully you guys will check out some of these games if you haven't already done so. Like I said, these are all pretty cheap for the most part. So you're not going to be spending, you know, $60 here in the United States to play one of these games. So if you're on a budget, definitely check them out. And if you have played them, let me know what you guys think. Did you like them? Did you dislike them? Out of these 4, which one do you think you would pick up? Or even if you would pick up all 4, let me know. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about these games that we just kind of talked about. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video today. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. We've had a few new subscribers come in recently, so thank you so much for that. Also, if you're not following me on Twitter, definitely follow me on Twitter at QuietLionGaming. There's a link in the description. I've been a little bit more active on there lately, just kind of talking about games in general and just other, you know, things going on in life. So definitely follow me there if you kind of want to keep up with me personally or just kind of on the channel itself. It would be great to have you just kind of follow along there as well. And I've met some really cool people on Twitter lately, and it's just been a fun kind of community just to kind of talk about gaming with other people as well. So thank you to those of you who have followed me, subscribed, or you're just watching right now. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching again. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.